Chinese intelligence operatives thought they could infiltrate America's most secure weapons depot. March 15, 2024, 2:47 a.m., Sierra Army Depot, California. 2,100 square miles containing $47 billion in Hellfire missiles, JDAM precision bombs, and Tomahawk cruise missiles. 4 foreign agents with insider knowledge attempted what no enemy has accomplished in 78 years, breaching the facility that stores enough firepower to level 340 cities. But 600 armed guards, 12,000 motion sensors, and AI-powered surveillance had been tracking them for 6 weeks. What happened during the 11-minute response that ended with all intruders neutralized? And how does the U.S. military protect $200 billion worth of weapons across 500 facilities that adversaries would kill to access? This is the story of America's ultimate fortress, and why enemies fear what's inside. Most Americans have no idea that beneath the Nevada desert, inside California mountain ranges, and across Oklahoma plains sit 500 fortified facilities containing the most devastating conventional weapons arsenal in human history. We're not talking about nuclear warheads. Those have different protocols. We're talking about $200 billion in Hellfire missiles, JDAM smart bombs, Tomahawk cruise missiles, Stinger anti-aircraft systems, and enough conventional explosives to reshape continents. Sierra Army Depot alone spans 2,100 square miles, larger than the entire state of Delaware. Inside its perimeter sits $47 billion worth of precision munitions. McAlester Army Ammunition Plant in Oklahoma manages another $38 billion. Hawthorne Army Depot in Nevada stores $52 billion more. These aren't warehouses. They're underground bunkers with 6-foot-thick concrete walls, blast-resistant doors weighing 20 tons each, and separation distances designed so that if one bunker explodes, it won't trigger a chain reaction that could level entire counties. The Defense Logistics Agency manages 90% of these facilities through a system so complex it makes Fort Knox look like a corner store. Every Hellfire missile, costing $150,000 each, has an RFID chip tracking its location in real time. Every JDAM guidance kit, $25,000 per unit, requires 3 separate security clearances just to access the storage igloos where they sit in climate-controlled darkness. But here's what keeps Pentagon security experts awake at night. It's not the external threats they see coming. It's the insider threats they don't. In 2021, a Defense Intelligence Agency report classified as for official use only revealed that between 2018 and 2020, there were 47 documented attempts by foreign intelligence services to recruit U.S. military personnel with access to munitions facilities. 17 of those attempts succeeded in obtaining facility layouts, security rotation schedules, and access protocols. China wants the guidance systems from JDAM bombs, technology that turns dumb ordnance into precision weapons. Russia wants the propulsion specifications from Tomahawk cruise missiles, engines that can fly 1,000 miles at terrain-hugging altitudes. Iran wants the warhead compositions from Hellfire missiles, explosives optimized for penetrating armored vehicles. And in March 2024, they almost got their chance. Sierra Army Depot sits 100 miles north of Reno, California, in high desert terrain where summer temperatures hit 105 degrees Fahrenheit and winter nights drop below zero. It's isolated, remote, and, intelligence agencies believed, vulnerable during guard shift changes at 3 a.m. What they didn't know was that 6 weeks before their planned intrusion, NSA Signals Intelligence had intercepted encrypted communications between a Chinese Ministry of State Security handler and 4 operatives already inside the United States. The counterintelligence operation that followed was a masterclass in controlled exposure. Rather than immediately arrest the operatives, 2 Chinese nationals on expired student visas and 2 American citizens recruited through financial pressure, the FBI and Army counterintelligence let them continue planning. Every communication was monitored. Every reconnaissance trip near Sierra Army Depot was tracked by satellite. Every purchase of climbing equipment, night vision devices, and bolt cutters was documented. Why? Because Pentagon leadership wanted to test something far more valuable than catching 4 spies. They wanted to validate the $840 million security upgrade that had been installed across all major munitions facilities between 2021 and 2023. The upgrades included AI-powered surveillance systems that don't just record footage, they predict threats. Developed by Anduril Industries and Palantir Technologies, these systems analyze 12,000 motion sensors, 8,000 infrared cameras, and 340 ground-penetrating radar stations simultaneously. The AI learns patterns, how guards move, how wildlife behaves, how weather affects sensor readings. When something deviates, a vehicle approaching from an unusual angle, movement patterns inconsistent with authorized personnel, thermal signatures that don't match known animals, the system doesn't wait for human confirmation. It triggers automatic lockdowns and deploys response teams within 90 seconds. The operatives had obtained detailed facility maps from a disgruntled former contractor who'd worked at Sierra in 2019. What they didn't know was that the entire security architecture had been rebuilt. The maps they studied showed guard towers in locations that no longer existed. Access roads they planned to use had been replaced with sensor fields that could detect human heartbeats at 400 yards. Perimeter fences they intended to cut through now carried micro-vibration sensors that could differentiate between wind stress and human tampering. On March 14, 2024, the four operatives drove a rented Toyota Tacoma from a motel in Reno toward Sierra Army Depot, arriving at a predetermined position 3 miles from the southern perimeter at 11:47 p.m. They waited until 2:47 a.m., the planned moment when guard shifts overlapped and security cameras supposedly had 4-minute blind spots during maintenance protocols. They had night vision goggles, suppressed firearms, chemical cutting torches for fence breaching, and a digital device designed to clone RFID access badges. Their target was Bunker Complex 7J, an underground facility containing 4,800 Hellfire missiles worth $720 million. The plan was simple: breach the perimeter, reach the bunker, photograph the missile guidance systems, and exfiltrate before dawn. They made it exactly 340 yards before everything went wrong. At 2:51 a.m., ground-penetrating radar detected 4 human-sized heat signatures moving in tactical formation toward the perimeter. At 2:52 a.m., AI analysis confirmed the movement pattern was inconsistent with authorized personnel. At 2:53 a.m., automated lockdown protocols activated across all 89 bunker complexes. The operatives didn't hear the alarm. There wasn't one. Modern military security doesn't announce intrusions to intruders. Instead, Sierra Army Depot's Emergency Response Force received silent alerts on encrypted devices that vibrated once with GPS coordinates. 12 armed guards in 3 armored vehicles were moving toward the coordinates within 90 seconds. At 2:54 a.m., the operatives reached the perimeter fence and began using chemical cutting torches on what they believed was standard chain link. They didn't realize they were cutting through woven steel cable with embedded fiber optic sensors that transmitted the exact cutting location to the Security Operations Center. They didn't know that 3 Anduril Ghost 4 autonomous drones, quadcopters with infrared cameras and facial recognition software, were already airborne and tracking their every movement from 800 feet altitude. At 2:56 a.m., the lead operative squeezed through the fence breach. Immediately, ground sensors detected his weight distribution and gait pattern, metrics that AI systems use to distinguish between authorized personnel and intruders. The Security Operations Center now had biometric data, real-time location, and predictive modeling of their intended route. At 2:57 a.m., the second operative followed through the breach. This triggered Phase 2 protocols. Remote-controlled floodlights positioned throughout the facility remained dark. Operators wanted the intruders to believe they were undetected, but infrared strobes invisible to human eyes but visible to night vision equipment began pulsing at frequencies that caused disorientation and nausea. The operatives wouldn't realize they were being affected until their coordination deteriorated. At 2:58 a.m., 3 armored vehicles, modified Joint Light tactical vehicles with ballistic glass and run-flat tires, approached from different angles, headlights off, using thermal imaging to navigate. The tactical plan was textbook: establish perimeter, cut off escape routes, force surrender without firing shots. Every guard wore body cameras. Every movement was recorded for future prosecution. At 2:59 a.m., all 4 operatives were through the fence, moving toward what their stolen maps indicated was an unguarded maintenance road leading to Bunker Complex 7J. Instead, they were walking directly into a kill zone, an open area with zero cover, surrounded by elevated positions where response teams had clear lines of sight. At 3:01 a.m., the lead operative noticed something wrong. The terrain didn't match his map. The maintenance road he expected wasn't there. Before he could alert the others, 3 armored vehicles activated their forward-facing LED spotlights simultaneously, 60,000 lumens each, temporarily blinding anyone wearing night vision goggles. "Federal agents! On the ground now!" The voice came from loudspeakers mounted on all 3 vehicles. The operatives had 3 seconds to comply before less lethal munitions, 40mm foam batons fired from launchers, would be deployed. 2 operatives dropped immediately. 2 reached for their suppressed pistols. What happened in the next 8 seconds demonstrated why foreign intelligence services consistently underestimate American security protocols. The moment the 2 operatives reached for weapons, 6 things occurred simultaneously. First, the autonomous drones above transmitted weapons-drawn alerts to all response personnel. Second, laser designators mounted on the armored vehicles painted both armed individuals with infrared targeting markers. Third, 2 guards equipped with less lethal launchers fired 40mm foam batons that struck both operatives' center mass with enough force to knock them backward without penetrating body armor. Fourth, 2 additional guards deployed from covered positions behind the armored vehicles with ballistic shields and restraint equipment. Fifth, the Security Operations Center transmitted live footage directly to FBI headquarters, NSA operations, and the Pentagon. Sixth, automated systems locked down every access point across all 89 bunker complexes. 470 blast doors weighing 20 tons each sealed simultaneously. By 3:02 a.m., all 4 operatives were face down on desert hardpan with flex cuffs securing their wrists. By 3:03 a.m., medics were checking for injuries while counterintelligence specialists were photographing their equipment. Chinese-manufactured encrypted radios, night vision goggles with Cyrillic instruction labels, and a sophisticated RFID cloning device that would have been useless against the quantum encrypted access badges Sierra adopted in 2022. By 3:04 a.m., FBI agents who'd been staged 12 miles away in unmarked vehicles were en route. The entire operation from fence breach to full custody took 11 minutes. 0 shots fired, 0 casualties. Complete tactical success. But here's what made this operation strategically invaluable: the intelligence harvest. The RFID cloning device revealed Chinese technical capabilities that NSA didn't know existed. The encrypted radios provided access to communication protocols used by Ministry of State security handlers across North America. The operatives' phones, secured before they could trigger remote wipe protocols, contained 6 months of operational planning, including targets beyond Sierra Army Depot. Forensic analysis revealed they'd conducted reconnaissance at McAlester Army Ammunition Plant in Oklahoma, Hawthorne Army Depot in Nevada, and Crane Army ammunition activity in Indiana. They'd photographed security perimeters, documented guard shift changes, and compiled dossiers on 47 facility personnel they'd identified as potential recruitment targets. The disgruntled former contractor who'd provided the facility maps was arrested at his home in Sacramento at 6:15 a.m. His computer contained $340,000 in cryptocurrency transactions from accounts traced to Chinese intelligence fronts. He'd sold not just maps, but also security protocols, maintenance schedules, and personnel rosters for 14 different munitions facilities. The question everyone at the Pentagon asked: if this cell had been operating for 6 weeks, how many others were still out there? And more importantly, how many had already succeeded in missions nobody detected? The Sierra Army Depot intrusion triggered the largest security review of U.S. munitions facilities since the Cold War. Between April and September 2024, the Defense Logistics Agency conducted vulnerability assessments at all 500 ammunition storage sites. What they found was sobering. 127 facilities had security architectures older than 15 years. 43 sites lacked AI-powered surveillance. 18 facilities in remote locations operated with guard forces under 30 personnel. The response was Operation Secure Arsenal. A $2.3 billion initiative to upgrade every major munitions facility to Sierra-level security protocols by 2027. This includes 40,000 new motion sensors, 15,000 AI-enabled cameras, 800 autonomous surveillance drones, and quantum encrypted access systems that are theoretically impossible to clone with current technology. But technology is only half the solution. The other half is human intelligence. The Pentagon now requires continuous counterintelligence monitoring of all personnel with access to munitions facilities. This means financial audits, social